Well, that one might be one that you need to walk off, huh?
I went outside to smoke a cigarette real quick, and I was actually out there with the dealer, and he ended up telling me that the small blind folded at 52 social in Houston, Texas for this one. It's a pretty deep set game. We're in the big blind right here with ace of clubs, seven of clubs, and there's a button straddle. They do Mississippi straddles here
Okay.
to $6, 1-3.
Okay.
So small blind opens this up to 50 after the straddle, which is pretty huge for this game. But I'm in the big blind with ace clubs, seven of clubs, and it's a pretty deep whaley game. And I feel comfortable just flatting here and be able to I'm not like too scared of three bets because I feel like I'll be able to get the right pot odds with them. Um, so I just flat the 50, which, like I said, it's probably just a fold normally, but whatever. I decided to flat. Under the gun flats as well, and under the gun plus one, three bets to 180. Stack sizes, like I said, small blinds at 1300. I'm at 1700. Under the gun is at 1900, and under the gun plus one covers everyone. He's at like 4 to 5K deep.
So just I want you to repeat that really quick again. So again, it's a 1-3 game, but there's a $6 button straddle, so it means that the blinds go through first. Small blind opens
Correct.
to 50. How deep are you?
I'm at $1,700 deep, and small blind is he's effective stack at 1300.
I mean, not to play pre-flop police, as I'm going to talk about my podcast tomorrow, and I keep saying like you have to do well. You're not on a live stream, but in a live stream, if you want to get invited back, you have to do things to play some hands. But even still, man, I think this is like a three better fold here. I mean, I guess you've got. So the guy is opening to 50. He's basically opening to 8x out of the small blind. You have the entire table left. This is even worse than being under the gun, right? I mean, it's the worst position you could be in.
Yes, and
it's just one of these things where, I mean, you either want to drive out the competition. What would you have done with ace jack offsuit here?
Fold.
So you're going to call with ace seven suited, but fold the ace jack off?
So I was looking over this, and I'm not going to be playing this as, value betting an ace on the flop. Same as I wouldn't be doing that with an eight with ace jack offsuit. I'm going to be able to play this, with nut possibility with, I'll be able to make plays with, picking up flush draws on turn or flush draw on flop. And I know it's going to be a big pot because it's already an open to 50 from the first position, which basically under the gun, I don't know, -2. And so I know it's going to be a big pot regardless. And with the suited ace here, I feel like it's a lot better than just ace jack offsuit. Now, I'd much rather prefer, like you talked about the new school of thoughts, like ace five, like ace two through ace five suited. I'd much rather three bet here. But with ace seven here, I feel like it's too weak to just, I don't know. I can't make it straight with it. Really, all I can do is make nut flushes, or which you'll see later in the hands, two pairs. But like you said, ace jack off, I just fold.
Just a little thought on structuring. And, I did a whole episode. I know you're a CLP sub, one of the episodes too, and I think it's in coursework, but I'll definitely bring it up, is why suited hands are better. I did a podcast maybe 6 months ago explaining why some of these things, pre-flop, these solver type things, I would prefer suited hands as a defend to a three bet, and why you should be structuring your suited hands as three bets. But the big portion of the reason why suited hands are better is because of the fact that if you're structuring correctly, you can continue, and you can structure your continuation bets too with backdoors, where if you have an offsuited hand, besides backdoor straights, you don't really have backdoors. However, that is taking the assumption that you are getting it heads up, which is the whole point of three betting or defending to a three bet, right? So if I can three bet a7 suited and get it heads up, I'm going to be able to continue more, or I can defend to a three bet even from out of position because I can continue because my hand is suited. But it sounds to me like in this game, when you call, you're going to get a bunch of people to call behind you anyway. So that suited part goes out the window because you're never going to really be able to realize, because you have to defend much, much tighter post-flop multi-way. You can't make a light peel. So that's why I would rather have ace jack off here actually than ace seven suited. That's why I asked you this question, because I know people are going to come in. I mean, I do feel like they're all probably should be three better folds, but I would rather have ace jack off here than ace seven suited, honestly, with a bunch of people coming in. Maybe even behind. I mean, you have to be almost infinitely deep to think about calling 10x here with a suited ace, saying you're going to over trip somebody or like over flush somebody. Those things don't happen all that much. You're not 10,000 deep. you're only like 13 or 100 deep. But anyways, I digress. So under the gun calls +1, 3 bets to 180. Okay. Yep.
Right. And then it folds back around to the small blind
Okay.
who calls. And now I have to put in what 130 to win like 720, assuming under the gun calls.
Right.
So I just call, and then under the gun calls as well.
So it's 4 ways. Is it 4 ways?
4-way.
So 720.
720. Yes.
Okay.
And we go to a flop that comes out 6 of diamonds, 7 of spades, 8 of diamonds.
6 of diamonds, 7 of spades, 8 of diamonds. Okay, so you have middle pair. Is that right?
Middle pair, top kicker. Yep.
Okay. Yep.
And checks around, or small blind checks, I check, under the gun checks, and under the gun +1 checks it back as well. So checks around the flop, and this one it gets interesting. The turn is an ace of diamonds. So
it gets checked around. Is that right?
Right.
Checked around. All right. So that's kind of, I mean, it's not crazy, right? It's not a great board for somebody who's the 3-better, right?
No, and like any hand that connected with this, from small blind, big blind, and under the gun,
right,
all are gonna check almost all their hands here. So I was the only weird, like if this would be weird if like under the gun +1 decided to barrel 3 streets here, then I would think that he connected with this flop specifically. But once you see the turn action, you can kind of start to narrow his range. But like I said, we're going to be checking almost all our range here, so it's not too weird for this flop right here.
What do you mean? You mean the plus the 3-better is going to be checking a lot? You mean, is that what you mean?
Yeah. I think with a certain range, because he's like I said, he's pretty deep, and he can squeeze in a lot of spots. 3-betting after open to 50 and 2 calls, and then he decides to squeeze there. Like I'm pretty comfortable with being able to call that. He has a pretty wide range here. So
he covers everyone too, right? Basically.
Oh yeah. He came.
I mean, this is just before you get to the turn. If for some reason he did c-bet and then somebody else called, I mean, you would just, again, you have to defend. This is sort of shows you the difference between if you were heads up, you would always continue on this board with a7 of clubs.
Right.
But if it goes back call, then you just fold. Unless you want to start turning a hand like into a semi bluff, I would do it with a backdoor club, almost like a squeeze post flop, that would just be a pure semi bluff. And I would probably prefer to do it with like ace-9 with a backdoor, ace-5 with a backdoor. But once in a while, you could actually do it with one of these middle pairs. All right, so it gets checked around. The pot's still 720. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And then turn comes out at ace of diamonds, now completing the front door flush and giving me aces up.
Mm-hmm.
So small blind checks to me, and I decided to lead here for 350. If I ain't beat already, I don't know. I haven't seen, nobody's bet yet. I already have aces.
Wait a minute. You stopped yourself. Were you about to say I need to find out where I'm at?
No, because I didn't want to say that out loud. Okay.
I got you. That's what it sounded like.
It's still a value bet, but it's also, I don't want to go too low here and price a bunch of different hands in. And I don't want to go too high here to where I'm really just only getting better hands to call me. And so I feel like half pot right here is a good sizing. I don't know. It's a multi-way spot, huge pot. I don't think even a solver will be able to give me.
Well, no, you're not. Here. Here's a couple things here. I didn't realize when you had emailed me in that it was a 3rd diamond. That definitely changes things. But I'm always of the camp of, I do find it a little bit strange when somebody leads out from out of position. But this is more in single raise pots when the preflop raiser has checked back, and then the card sort of hits their check back range like an ace or a king. But we did sort of establish that he might be checking a lot of overpairs here. Just because he checked on this board doesn't mean that he has ace king. So I can get on board here with this. There's one guy to the left of +1, right? Is that right?
Well, the 3-better small blind. No, the 3-better is the +1.
Right, but is there one guy to the left of him? Of the +1.
It's small blind, big blind, under the gun.
So you only really have any natural info about the small blind because he's checked twice. So because +1 is check back the flop, anyone can really have anything. It's not like when +1 acts first and then people check behind. You're like, oh, people don't have diamond draws. I'm going to be able to liberally bet. But
exactly, that's what I was saying. Yeah.
Okay, so you bet 350. Still a little bit large, but okay.
Yeah, it's a little bit large. But I mean, this is, like I said, this is pretty pretty damn deep stack, especially for 1-3.
Yeah.
So, this is large, but it's not it's not polarizing in a sense. It's not like a defining bet. It would be standard essentially in this spot. With any value hand I'm representing. So I bet 350 and under the gun calls, under the gun +1 calls, and the small blind calls.
So
everybody calls.
UTG calls, +1 call. Wow, +1 calls, and also small blind calls. Fuck.
Yeah.
So
calls.
1400. Now the pot's like 2120, and
2120, correct.
You've got maybe what, like 1100 left, something like that.
Yep.
Yeah. Wow.
Yep.
Okay.
And I bought him for 1,000, so I'm at
that's interesting.
Just right near you.
Okay.
And then the river rolls off a 5 of clubs.
River is the 5 of clubs. Oh wow. So it puts a one-liner out there, huh?
Yeah, it does. It does.
So again, this guy's got, for the podcast listeners, a7 of clubs, a little bit suspect pre-flop, but completes closing to the 3-bet and the button straddle. 6, 7, 8 gets checked around to the 3-better who doesn't bet. The turn's the ace of diamonds, makes aces up with a7, check, bet 350. Everyone calls, including the pre-flop 3-better, and now the river rolls off a 5. Okay.
Yep, rolls off a 5 and small blind checks. And now I just want to get to showdown. I don't see a point in, obviously, there's no value bet I think I should have here. I think I should just be checking this. I just want to get to showdown at this point, but I'm not sure what I'm going to be facing from my opponent's under the gun +1. I'm expecting under the gun +1 to check it back. And with small blind checking 3 streets, I'm not scared of him. Really, the only person I'm afraid of at this point is under the gun +1. Because when he flatted me on the turn, he's the only one in that spot that can have a flush. If he hit the flush on the turn, I don't think he's going to be raising.
Well, he's the 3-better though, right? So he'd have to check.
No. Under the gun +1's a 3-better. Right. Under the gun is the one that I was saying.
Oh, you're saying under the gun is concerned. Right. Here. Okay. Well, hope that the small blind doesn't lead out. What happens at the end? I'm hoping the small blind doesn't bet out at you here. Too.
No, the small blind checks. On the river.
Okay, so you check.
I check it as well. And then under the gun leads here for 550.
So the guy that you're scared of bets 550.
Right. This is the person I was thinking on the turn. This is the only person going to have a flush here. Under the gun +1 would have bet his flusher on the flop. He would have bet he definitely would have bet a 9. If he had say he was 3-betting light with the ace-9 suited, he definitely would have continued on that type of board. So I don't think that the under the gun +1 can have any flushes there, or that he connected with the flop that well either. Obviously, when he just flats the turn, it's pretty obvious to me that he just has an ace.
So he bets 550. What happened?
And then under the gun +1 calls.
+1 calls the pre-flop raiser.
Yeah.
The pre-flop raiser calls. Okay.
Yeah, it takes for about 2.5-3 minutes, and then finds the call.
Small blind folds. Take it.
Small blind folds. Yeah.
So
and then
550 call. So the pot is 32-20, and it's 550 for you basically to call. So you're getting over 6-1 here.
Right.
This is a no-brainer snap call. I feel like if under the gun bets 550 and everyone folds and you close the action, you have to call. This gets more dicey. It's interesting though, because what does +1 have here though? I mean, maybe +1 is just a moron who 3-bet and is calling with ace king or ace queen. So I don't think that +1 has you beat. It really kind of seems like to me that +1 could have a high ace, or maybe occasionally has you beat. So then you're really just looking at the under the gun guy. Could you beat the under the gun guy 1 out of 6 times? Whenever I'm getting really crazy pot odds in a spot like this, I might make this call. Plus, these guys are idiots. If they're not capable of betting a 4 here for the bottom end of a straight, then he's just gonna, he's representing a 9. It's like Texas poker. I don't know. I call here getting 6-1. To be honest with you, what would have happened?
Well, I ended up folding, and under the gun shows king queen with the king of diamonds and a queen of spades. For king high.
This sounds bad. And what did the pre-flop raiser show? Does he have ace king or ace queen or something?
Exactly. He had ace queen offsuit, ace of hearts, queen of diamonds.
Uh-oh.
No, actually not queen of diamonds. He had ace of hearts, queen of spades. Under the gun
Oh.
had king of diamonds, queen of hearts.
Well, that one might be one that you need to walk off, huh? For a
Yep. So I went
$3,200
outside.
pot.
I went outside to smoke a cigarette real quick, and I was actually out there with the dealer, and he ended up telling me that the small blind folded pocket eights on that hand. He
Um,
said,
wow.
"Yeah,
Yeah. This is yeah, I don't know. I mean, I just think that you have the pre-flop three better beaten enough that you just got to find the guy if he's bluffing, whatever it is, 1 out of 4, 1 out of 5, compounding with the multi-way nature of that spot. So whenever I'm getting a good price, I'd like to make that call. But thank you very much for the call here.